Sean Kershaw, I'm the Public Works Director for the City of St. Paul. What is the movie Apocalypse Now? To quote that, I love the smell of asphalt in the morning. We're here to talk about how St. Paul is getting ahead on pothole work in the city of St. Paul. If you're a civil engineer and want to come up with the perfect recipe for potholes, it's old streets, it's rain, and it's freeze thaw. And that's exactly what we've had this year. And to sort of misquote a childhood nursery rhyme, they talk about April showers bring Mayflowers, January rains will bring pothole pains. So what we've had this year is about 20 inches of snow, which is pretty normal. We've had rain in December and in January. And what happens with that rain is it goes into the cracks that are in pavement, and when it freezes, it expands and it creates potholes. And the freeze thaw that we've had makes that worse. So we learned if you remember back to 22 and 23, when we had that awful season, not just of snow, but of potholes, we've had pretty much that same recipe this year. Less snow, but we've had rain and we've had freeze thaw. So we know, first of all, that it's going to be a busy season for pothole repair in St. Paul. Unlike 23, we're getting ahead of it earlier than we did then, in part because of the equipment that's behind me. The Bagla machine takes recycled asphalt and it creates a modified hot mix. That hot mix helps us address potholes earlier and in ways that are more durable. It's not as good as what we use during the regular season when our asphalt plant is running, but we're out there earlier than we have been in the past with a mix that is more durable and will help protect our streets. And so I've noticed, because I live in St. Paul and driving around, that our crews have been out there. Right now we're really getting the worst of the worst because it's so cold. But as it warms up, we're going to continue to use the hot mix that comes from the Bagla machine. We'll use cold patch, is what we traditionally use. In fact, I want to clarify that we pothole patch all year. It's cold patch that we traditionally use in the wintertime, and that's what we had in 23. The new machine that we have this year, and the mayor is very excited about that, allows us to put this hot mix out when it's cold, like it is right now. So this is a new ability that the city has to get on top of the potholes that we've already seen this year that are really frustrating and really dangerous. I'll pause to change subjects slightly because I want to note something that we're hearing about in the community. There's a lot of concern right now, understandably so, from federal agents and the chaos and the destruction and the danger that they're creating in the community. And we're appreciative of the fact that the community is out watching out for their neighbors, and that's a great thing. We've taken calls where people are concerned that some of our city vehicles that are out in neighborhoods, near schools, near churches, and we're opening up catch basins by schools, we're doing pothole work, we're doing the work we do to keep our neighborhoods safe. Our vehicles all say City of St. Paul. Our employees have logos on the back that say City of St. Paul. We'll have equipment that is like here. We are in neighborhoods, and we're grateful for the fact that neighborhoods are looking out for their neighbors. Residents are looking out for their neighbors. And our crews are also out there, and they are clearly marked by the logo and the vehicle logos. So we want people to know that we are out in neighborhoods, keeping the streets and our sewer system safe. And it is not, if you see a vehicle like behind me, it's the City of St. Paul doing what we need to do. It's not federal agents. I'm happy to take, before the mayor gets here, any questions. Yeah, the hot mix lasts longer. The bottom line is being able to use a hot mix. This isn't the same as the asphalt that our asphalt plant produces, but this is more durable. So when we patch using the asphalt that comes from the Bagla machine, that patch will last longer through the wintertime. If you notice the cold patch that we put out, it covers the pothole, it makes it safe, but it's not durable and it doesn't last very long and we have to go back. This is more durable and more efficient. And so we can cover more potholes and get the work done so that it lasts longer. And this is new for us just as of we purchased it last year, but we're putting it into place right now thanks to the crews that are over here.
The hot mix, you can't use that. The asphalt plant doesn't run because you can't transport it on the back of a truck bed unheated.
Yeah, the question is, why can't we open the asphalt plant? The asphalt plant needs a certain temperature to be warm enough for a sufficient amount of time, and we're transporting that through the city, and so the hot mix cools down by the time it's on site. The Bagala machine produces the hot mix on site, and so it's much more efficient, and we're recycling old asphalt. You'll see piles of it behind me here. We're taking that old asphalt, recycling it on site to do a better job of pothole patching.
Does this create enough to be helpful to have another one?
Yeah, this machine is helpful. We have so many potholes that it's never enough. And if this is successful, I imagine that we'll want to get another one. But this does allow us to go to the worst sites quickly and do a better job of patching them.
How much did that bad boy cost?
It was about 15,000. Which is, we're grateful, the city of Minneapolis, we purchased it from them. They're a great partner in this work, and the benefit is enormous to the residents of St. Paul.
On the ice piece, have you heard of any call? Have you ever been called and heard, like, hey, is this a public works crew? Is this really a public works crew? And it wasn't. Like, is there
Oh,
any
yeah.
indication that they're using ICE is using fake logos?
There's absolutely no knowledge that I have that ICE is using fake logos. I've heard that they're wearing high vis sometimes, but that I think that is not that frequent. If you'll notice, the National Guard that was out was very clear in having high vis vests on, but there's no indication that ICE is out with fake logos. And it's great that neighbors are looking out for each other. That's a fantastic thing. We want them to know that, also look out for our crews and thank them, and because the crews are out there in cold weather doing really important things for the city.
You had mentioned one of your workers was either detained or harassed. I can't remember what.
As you may have seen in the news, that a public works employee was detained. They were legally authorized to work, and they were detained, and they're currently in El Paso, Texas. And we're hoping for their release. They had full legal right to work, and they were detained based purely on their country of origin, and are now in El Paso, and they're connected with a lawyer and trying to get them out of there. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so the question is, how do we triage pothole patching, and how do we allocate our time? So when we get calls in, it's not necessarily first in, first responded to. When we get calls, we triage those to really determine how dangerous is that pothole. We got a message in last week about a really bad one that was off University. It was really large. We will put those dangerous potholes first. And so people may contact us and not know why we didn't get back to them right away. It's because we're triaging based on, danger for pedestrians or bicyclists or vehicles. We're also doing weekend work. So again, the crews that are here are coming in on weekends as they're able to address potholes then. And I've been in this job almost 6 years, and this year I've noticed, just driving around the city as much as I do, that we're getting more work done more quickly, in part thanks to this overtime, and in part thanks to the machine that's behind me.
Do you have any sense of changes in numbers of complaints that you've received so far about potholes?
Yeah, the question is changes in number of complaints. They're higher this year because, the potholes themselves are worse. I don't think we're at 23 levels yet, but I don't have those numbers on me.
Other questions?
We're happy to show you. We can heat up. We can start up the machine, or Jericho, who's here, can explain to you how the machine works. It's really cool. And so it's freezing cold, but the machine is really cool. If you want, Jericho can do that. And here's the mayor right now. Any other questions? Yeah, we can leave it off until then. I've copyrighted that nursery rhyme, by the way. Nobody steal it. I haven't really. No, and I'll say before the mayor, as the mayor is getting here, I appreciate the fact that the mayor, in her third day, I think, or no, before she was even formally before she assumed office, she came to a snow emergency that we had in early January. She was there in the evening. She talked with the crews that were out there. She rode in the truck for about an hour and a half with Jericho, our street superintendent. And so we appreciate the fact that she's been directly involved and is here today. Hi, Mayor.
Hi, everybody. I didn't realize there was such excitement over filling potholes. I'm so glad you all are here. Actually, one of the first things I said to our departments was that I wanted to look at the nuts and bolts of how we run our city. And one of those things is, being out in the snow plows, which I got to do with this fantastic crew. But also, they had set up time so that I could come out and see how we fill potholes. With the changing weather patterns and the constant thawing and freezing and the impact that has on our infrastructure, more than ever, we need to do our jobs well. And that means that we have to have more efficient equipment to do it. We're going to have people who are skilled to do it, and that we have to be out and making sure that our residents see that the work is getting done. So I'm really excited to be here. I'm really excited to learn. I didn't realize that there'd be so many of you here being interested with me, but here we go. Let's get it done. Does anybody have any questions for me? Yeah.
As you learned about the potholes, hang out with the road guys, what did you learn that surprised you that you didn't know about the city of St. Paul and the streets?
I learned that even little things like when we call snow emergency, because people compare our two cities a lot, right? Minneapolis and St. Paul. And to know depending on the days we call it, whether it's Minneapolis is 3 days, or 2 days, 3 days, and we are 2 days for when we go out for an emergency, and the impact that has on what people see, right? And sometimes it's just a perception of certain things aren't getting done, but it's because of our different policies. Or, I often want to find out when somebody says that someone does it better than we do, I go out and I look to see if they're doing it better, and then we ask a lot of questions. And for our team to be able to show me the different types of equipment that we're using and why in certain cities that they're able to get closer to the ground versus ours, and what that means for the really sexy topic of deferred maintenance. And when we have equipment that is older and that we don't have the ability to get new equipment that actually does a better job, that even though we may be out as much and we are working as many hours, that the impact that has on streets looks very different. And so I've learned a lot actually about how we do this work and how hard our teams in public work gets out there and really tries to do right by our residents. But we are limited by some of the equipment that we have and the processes that are in place, and even modernization of I asked, can we get something that shows real time where trucks are so that people can see on a grid where we're out doing some of this work? And it would be wonderful for us to be able to do it, but there's just some challenges around that too. And so, but I'm really excited about their planning and their ability to look at the future and saying, how do we do this better, and what are the things we can implement as we move through life cycles of equipment, and also as we modernize some of the technology that we're using. So yeah, I've learned a lot, maybe more than I probably should want to know about it, but it's really exciting. I don't know. I hope everybody's excited about it as I am. Any other questions? Yeah.
Obviously, this kind of stuff has not been a lot of your first couple weeks as mayor. Can you just talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, 3 days into my administration, there was the shooting of Renee Nicole Good, and that really put public safety and our communities front and center. But I am really thankful that, I did something that no mayor has done before, and that was change the structure of our mayor's office. And while first Assistant Mayor Erica Schumacher and she heads our public safety work, that we were working with our law enforcement and addressing the crisis in front of us, and our city being occupied, that we had Assistant Mayor Nick Stumalang, who continues to oversee Public Works and DSI and PED and some of the other departments under his purview, that the work continues, right? Because I think it is really important for people to remember that we can do both, that we can address crises as they are happening, but we have the staff in place so that we continue to move forward on core city services so that our residents do not see that disruption.
Especially with the temperatures up.
Put it in here.
Yep.